Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me. I'm here with a replay of the 4th round of a modern-friendly league. Let's have a look at my opening hand. I won the die roll, so I'm going to be on the play. Always very happy to see that. This is a pretty cool hand. I like it a lot. I've got Mutavault and Island as lands, 2 AEther Vials to help us get around counterspells and accelerate our board development. Spreading Seas draws us a card, potentially screws the opponent's mana. Vapor Snag, a little bit of protection. So pretty easy keep for me. The opponent decided to keep as well, so hopefully it's going to be a good game. Looks he started with Leyline of Sanctity in play. I don't know any modern decks that play Leyline of Sanctity in the main board. So if you guys want to pause it and think about what deck this might be, based solely on the fact that they played Leyline of Sanctity on turn 0, go ahead and do that. But I was totally in the dark. I had no idea what was going on. So I'm going to open Island AEther Vial with the intention of playing Spreading Seas next turn. So Evolving Wilds, and I should be playing against another opponent who's 3-0, but it looks like I'm playing against a semi-budget deck here, unless Evolving Wilds has some combo or something that I don't know about. AEther Vial goes to 1. Drew a Harbinger. It's another body. Not sad to see that. And with Evolving Wilds out, sort of have the green light to go ahead and play AEther Vial, leaving up Vapor Snag rather than Spreading Seas because we can't hit Evolving Wilds with Spreading Seas. So play the Mutavault, use that colorless mana to play AEther Vial, and just pass with Vapor Snag up. Still have no idea what the opponent is doing. Actually, it's a little bit scary. It kind of looks like a combo deck. Okay, Basic Mountain. You guys have any idea what it is yet? Because I still have no idea. Basic Plains. You guys know what's going on? No? AEther Vial up to 2. AEther Vial up to 1. Drew a land. That's not bad. I have my pick of which color to take the opponent off of, and with Leyline of Sanctity, looks like it might be a Wrath of God deck or something, some kind of control deck. So white seems like the thing I want to focus on. So I'll go ahead and hit that Plains. Faith Shield. So I have seen this card before. I forget what the deck is designed to do. Target permanent you control gains protection from the color of your choice. If you have 5 or less life, instead, you and each permanent you control gain protection from the color of your choice until the end of turn. So I think what happens is they play a lot of creatures, maybe tokens, and then they play Fateful Hour, Faith Shield. Like maybe they play a lot of Phyrexian mana, getting their life total down, like Spellskite. They go down below 5. All of the permanents gain protection from, like blue, for example, and then they can Alpha Strike. But there are other cards that give protection to all of your white creatures, so potentially plays red creatures as well. I don't know. In any event, this Spreading Seas is not going to resolve. Sad face. But we traded cards with the opponent, and we have, I guess, a much better idea of what they're doing now. No, I'm being sarcastic. I have no idea what he's doing. But he missed a land drop, which makes me excited. I smell blood. So Harbinger is going to come in. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Who comes in now? I don't think Harbinger is going to be very useful, but I still think I'm going to choose Lord. I don't know. Yeah, there's Harbinger. No idea what the deck is doing. By playing the Harbinger out, we get to swing for a little bit more power this turn. AEther Vial goes to 3 and 2. That's excellent. Activating Mutavault. See what the opponent wants to do. Okay, so Sudden Shock. That has split second, so it's 2 damage, but it's split second, so we couldn't activate AEther Vial and save our Mutavault. So again, a little bit sad, but we can do it now. Swing for 3 with the Harbinger. Opponent's down to 17. Still have no idea what's going on. Faith Shield and Sudden Shock. Misses another land drop. We're going to go up to 4 and 2. Drew an AEther Vial is pretty terrible. But we can put in a Lord of Atlantis. We have Vapor Snag in the event that the opponent wants to wipe our board or something. swing for 7 here. Does opponent have more removal? Looks like it doesn't. Play out our 3rd Aether Vial. I don't think I need to keep that in hand for any reason against this deck. On their main phase, we see a Sacred Foundry. And now we're getting hit by Anger of the Gods. So potentially getting punished for overextending a little bit, but we have this Vapor Snag. To save the Lord, we've got Aether Vials we can quickly reestablish as long as we draw Merfolk. So we're going to leave Aether Vial on 4 and 2, and just tick up the next one to 1. Drew a land, pretty terrible, put it into play and pass the turn. Opponent hits their 4th land. And now we see Guardian Seraph, a 4-drop from Magic 2010. Flying, if a source an opponent controls would deal damage to you, prevent 1 of that damage. Her gaze prevents the petty sins, and her sword punishes the rest. So, is she... I can't tell what's going on with this artwork. What is that, like, cheetah-looking stuff in the background? Is that a mountain? I don't know. Anyhow, kind of looks like Legolas. Pretty weird. Okay, anyhow, she's a 3/4 flyer that slows down my clock a lot. So all my creatures do 1 point less. But he's at 8. We've just got to lean on him. Just want to... Okay. Still not drawing creatures, but at least Spreading Seas is a redraw. Gonna hit his... Drew a Mutavault. Gonna hit his Sacred Foundry. Rather than the Battlefield Forge, I don't think he's gonna need this colorless. I think it's just another red and white source. If he wants to use it, though, he has to pay life. So, no attacks this turn. I have no idea what the opponent has, what he's working with. Alright, so it's always some kind of control deck. Non-basic lands are mountains. He's going to swing with his Guardian Seraph. He already saw, I think he already saw Harbinger, so he knows that it can get bounced if he taps that thing. So now we've got Aether Vials on 4, 3, and 2. Draw a Silvergill, that's excellent. We get to redraw. Possible, actually, that I should have used my island and something else since my lands are all mountains, but I used the Aether Vial on 2. See, so that was a slight misstep because I guess I wasn't remembering that my lands were all mountains except for the island, so I should have actually... Well, no, I'm sorry. Let me pause for a second, getting ahead of myself. I only had 1 creature in hand, so Silvergill needed to come through the Aether Vial because I couldn't have revealed a Merfolk, obviously, right? So I thought that I had mana, but it's red, so no good on that. So do a few more taps, confuse the opponent a little bit. He might feel like he's on the back foot here, so finally he decides to attack with the Guardian Seraph. Passes the turn with doing nothing. I'm going to say always no to these Aether Vials. There it is. That's nice. So, we can go to attacks. This would only do 3. But if we slow roll these creatures, he could feel like he's okay, comfortable. Leaves back a blocker. Seems wise. It passes to me. On the end step, I'm going to put in this Master of the Pearl Trident. Put in Master of Waves, representing a ton of damage. He doesn't have double white for Wrath of God. I guess he has double red for Anger, but we're doing this on the end step, playing around that stuff. So, ton of power. Aether Vial triggers go on the stack. And at that point, the opponent scooped. So, not exactly sure if there's some kind of combo involved in this deck. Looks like Guardian Seraph is just designed to slow people down. I have a hard time believing that this deck is 3-0 at this point in the tournament. Sometimes the pairing algorithm works a little bit strangely. But let's go ahead to game 2. See how that one went. Open up the chat. Adjust it a little bit so I can read the history. And let's have a look at the opening hand. Now I'm going to be on the draw this game. 5 lands. Looks like I can probably do better than this. He kept, and I kept. So being on the draw, I guess, with Mutavault playing around Anger of the Gods, Spreading Seas taking him off of double red for Anger, double white for Wrath of God. I figured, you know, keep 7, be on the draw into some gas. So there it is. Drawing pretty well so far. Open with basic island and pass the turn back. Slow stuff from the opponent, another plains. We're going to hold up this Spreading Seas until we see a red source. Looks like he's without access right now. So we're going to play a second island, playing around Blood Moon, and Master the Pearl Trident. Opponent doesn't do anything. And Stony Silence. I gotta tell you, anybody who's watching this as a non-Merfolk player, don't bring in Stony Silence against us. I mean, look at my hand doesn't have AEther Vial, and I have like what, 6 lands. Stony Silence is a dead draw. I mean, look, it's like Blood Moon, right? I mean, Blood Moon, I have to say something like 80% of the time we're going to be able to play around it because we're going to have AEther Vial or we're going to have basic lands, and your Blood Moon's not going to do anything. The best thing Blood Moon does against us is it turns Mutavault off from attacking. Stony Silence, if we have AEther Vial, we're still going to have lands. Maybe you slow us down a little bit, but why not bring in another removal spell or something? I don't know. Not very good. So, opponent just passed after Stony Silence, missed on his land drop, making it extra clear that he doesn't have access to red. So we are going to still hold off on Spreading Seas. I think Mutavault and Reejerey is a pretty clear line here. It applies the most pressure. Swing for 3, opponent will go down to 17. Draws a third plains, plays it, and just passes the turn back. Looks like I drew another Reejerey for the turn. And I could play out a Reejerey and a Lord of Atlantis this turn, and the Spreading Seas if I wanted to, with tapping and untapping. But I think I'm just going to activate Mutavault and attack. This deck could easily play Wrath of God. We haven't seen it yet, but that's what it's looking like. 2-turn clock here. Okay, so Blessed Alliance, he wants me to sacrifice a creature. And I'm going to sacrifice the Mutavault. I've got plenty of lands, and I prefer to keep my lords on the table. So instead of taking 10, the opponent's going to take 6, it looks like. Down to 11. Looks like they ripped a land off the top, and it's a red source. It's a good one for Spreading Seas. They go down to 9 to play this shock land. And I think we are going to see the board wipe here. Yep, so all my creatures get wiped away. Opponent with a powerful Stony Silence on his side. So decisions here. We can play Spreading Seas, see what we draw, play an Island Walk Lord, or play Reejerey and a Cursecatcher. I think Spreading Seas is probably better here. He seems to be struggling with mana, so we'll hit the red. Draw a card. Silvergill's great, actually. We might want to play that out now. Always lead with your card draw spells. Well, not always, but almost always. Echoing Truth is good just because this guy almost definitely has something like Ghostly Prison or something from the sideboard. What's happening here? Okay, here's the Guardian Seraph again. So my creatures are going to do less damage, but we've got a lot of power in hand. We just drew another Island Walk Lord, and we have Island Walk established now, so what's the best play? Reejerey first opens up more options. I don't know that I want to commit my lords yet. I might just go Cursecatcher, tap your Guardian Seraph. That looked like the play. Swing for 3 with the Silvergill Adept. We've got a ton of power in hand. He's actually only going to do 2 because of the Seraph. We've got Cursecatcher covering another Wrath of God. That was a big decision in playing out the Cursecatcher, actually. Okay, opponent did not attack, did not play a land. So, not sure what's happening here. Okay. Looks like I drew an AEther Vial. That's pretty terrible, but we've got enough here to finish things off, I guess. Or at least, it's pretty close to it. I think I'm going to play out both Island Walk Lords, untapping lands each time. Actually, I don't need to untap a land the second time because I'll still have mana for Echoing Truth and I can tap his Seraph just in case. So here's the second Lord. Going for the Alpha Strike here. Going to tap his Seraph and he's going to try to prevent it with Faith Shield. In response to that, I think I'm going to just try to Echoing Truth his Guardian Seraph. Might be unnecessary since we have Island Walk Lords in hand, but if it makes him play out another card, then it's probably good for us. So he played out 2 protection spells. Guardian Seraph has protection from blue, but I've got Island Walk. Not quite sure if the opponent had calculated Island Walk when he was doing all that. So Seraph reduces our creatures by 1, so we're only swinging for 4, 3, and 3, which, if you can do the math, is more than enough. So swing. It is going to be 10, I think, going to -3. And that was it. So I feel like we didn't really get to see what this deck's plan is. Faith Shield raises a lot of questions. I get maybe he's just trying to protect his board. Maybe there's not some sick combo with Faith Shield. But kind of a weird pairing for my 4th round at 3-0. Let me know if you guys have seen this deck before. It's obviously doing something that I don't understand. And I'll catch you in the next round when we'll be playing for 5-0 for, only I think like my 3rd time. So yeah, tune in and I'll see you guys there. Thank you.